What's going on? It's your boy Coach here. Are you struggling with nutrition, especially when it comes to dieting? How do you change things, especially when you're in a long-term calorie deficit? There's a number of tips and things I want to leave behind. Coach got a little bit upset at the last episode, so I told him, hey, you know what? I'll hook you up. I know you're really busy. I'll go ahead and host the next episode for you. Ways to be successful. For those out there who are struggling, who have been in the places I've been, let's just start with one of the first things is the problem. Sweets, desserts, something a lot of people say cheat food, junk food, and I no longer use those terms, or I minimize them anyway, just because there is no, say, bad foods. It really comes down to how much you consume, how many calories you put in, and how many calories you output. Main problem for me was overeating calories. If it wasn't for, say, some of maybe the genetic protections I have, and how busy and active I stay, because if I was maybe more idle and more, say, just kind of sitting around, I for sure would have a very difficult time being lean, because I like to eat a lot. I have a high hunger, and that's actually something that's really important when it comes to dieting, is to figure out how to control hunger. And so the program I originally kind of came up with, this endless system, it has to do with nutrition. Watch that series on It's Your Boy Coach. There's 12 episodes, a lot of tips, and a lot of things I do are in there. You're gonna be hungry, and especially, you know, the leaner you get, it's gonna just, some people, you know, you override it, you have to push past, and that's kind of true. But specifically when it comes to, say, controlling hunger and continuing to get lean by staying in a deficit like I'm doing right now, your body is gonna at some point say, I've had enough of this, and it's gonna increase hunger. It's gonna increase cravings. And so I came up with this term, and you probably heard it before. It's called a refeed, and it's something I didn't really dive into just because it wasn't the appropriate time. But right now for me is the perfect time to talk about it, because as I'm trying to run this high deficit, and I've been doing this now for quite a while, and I did it kind of slow, but now I'm getting to the point where I'm going, I would call below set point, where my body's kind of catching on to, hey, you know what, we need more body fat. So I start seeing things that look a lot more appetizing. And if I don't have the self-control, and I kind of did in some senses, but we've also had celebrations and vacations, and those are things that come up in life. So when I'm trying to control that, I use, say, some of my other recipes to counter those cravings, and they're lower calorie, higher in protein, say desserts. I kind of figured out, okay, I can kind of have my cake and eat it too, right? Literally, figuratively, whatever. To me, I don't think enduring hunger constantly is a good thing. As a matter of fact, I think it destroys metabolism. You're training the body that I'm not going to give you food. So what does the body tend to do? Say, all right, I'm going to conserve energy. I'm going to conserve calories. You just get more tired. Your body's really trying to slow you down. So it's hard to perform. It's hard to just live life like that. I was on this low calorie diet for a long time, and then at some point, you know, I got lean, and then I just had enough of it. So it's like, I'd rather have a diet where I can have more calories, more eating, more food, more of the things I like, and stay lean. And I figured out how to do that, and it's through refeeds. Refeed is specific to, say, a certain time period to put your body kind of at that cozy spot where you're like, okay, so if you're lacking in a specific macronutrient or in calories, either or, your body kind of catches on. An example is like, hey, craving steak, you know, and that might mean you're deficient on iron or something like that. And refeeds, what ultimately they do is kind of quiet the body from, you know, those hunger responses by giving it something it needs. And a lot of people will say, this is my cheat meal, my cheat food, my cheat day. I don't say those because I've already had a video about that. The food is not a morality thing. Food is neutral. I used to feel guilty because I'm so full, and, you know, because I'm overindulging. And what I found out, though, is that doing those, especially in food challenges, what it tends to do is the body goes, okay, cool, all right, I got it, I feel good now, let's continue forth. You're good to go. You can go towards your goals, because it just needed that little bit of a window to make myself feel a little bit better and not be so miserable and not so much suffering. It's not limited by, say, a meal or a day or a time window. It's just some period where you take your body from this suffering point and misery and psychologically kind of demotivated, and you flip the script. You say, no, I'm the opposite now. I'm full, I'm satiated, I'm feeling good. And then generally the next day after a refeed, I'll notice, if it's a refeed day, I'll notice performance go way up. As you go into these long deficits, your body starts fighting back. It's an evolutionary protection for survival. And I've learned that over time. And what I found out, especially in our current times, is we have all these different options and substitutes we can use to save on calories. So I did this thing, I built a recipe book. Once I started figuring out how to save calories, I started documenting it, and it took a long time. Now the recipe book is something we're gonna cover in part 2 because it's its own thing, and I have other comments I'd like to share about that, and that's way over on time. So let's leave it at that. I'll cut it up to be, this is 2 episodes. We'll see how that comes out, maybe even 3. Take care, peace out.